Hi everyone, it's Øyvind Martinsen here. In this video I'm going to show you some creative approaches to outdoor photography, and we're going to work in the jazz version of the outdoor photography game. So I'm going to show you some videos where we move the camera during the exposure in different settings and with different results. So we're gonna move into the forest here. It's a little bit misty day, but it's a nice day and nice weather, so perfect for this type of work. Little bit mist that covers the sun and gives a soft light. So let's go to work. In this session I'm going to show you some creative techniques with the camera. We're going to rotate the camera during the exposure, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. But first I want to explain the light metering. I want to use manual metering, and I want my shutter speed to be 1/5 of a second. So I set the ISO to 50, ISO 50, the lowest I have. I set in this light I have aperture f16, and that gives me 1/5 of a second in this session. If the light was different, I had to change the settings to obtain the same shutter speed. But 1/5 of a second is a good shutter speed to do this technique, and soon you will learn how. The method I'm using is rotating the camera over 1/5 of a second. I'm going to rotate and move the camera. I'm going to move my body and the camera downwards, and then twist the camera. I do like this. I twist the camera 90 degrees during the rotation here, and I go down and sideways too. I go like this, down and sideways. If you see it in front, I do like this, down and sideways. Let's see what happens. 1/5 of a second. Oh, good. And no picture will be alike. Yes, it's coming. Perfect. I think we have it. Here's another setting. I have some green moss here and some rock, and I'm going to use the same technique and rotate here. I will get a different composition and different colors, but with the same technique where I rotate and move down and sideways. See here, I move down, sideways, and rotate the camera at the same time. Let's try. I have to watch my feet so they don't get into the picture, and I'm using my size 18mm wide-angle lens, and these images will be blurry, so the focus point and sharpness is not an issue. So I just put the focus on 1 meter and at f16. So let's go to work. So you have to move your body, go down and sideways, and rotate the camera. Oh, nice. Yes. Here we are at another place. We have some snow patches here. I'm going to use the same settings. I'm going to use manual light metering, f16, ISO 50, and 1/5 of a second exposure. So let's go to work. Let's see what we can have. We have the greenery, the green moss, and the white snow. It will be interesting. I will move down, sideways, and rotate. So down, sideways, and rotate. So let's go to watch my feet. Yes. Oh, that's good. Interesting. No picture will be similar, so just take a few shots and pick the one on your computer when you get back into your house. Cool. Yes, I think we have it. In this sequence I'm going to show you another technique. I have my tripod, I have my camera, I have my 18mm wide angle lens. I set my ISO down to ISO 50. I'm at the aperture f22, and in manual light metering that gives me 4 seconds exposure right now in this light. And with these 4 seconds I want to keep my camera in position half of the shutter speed. So I want 2 seconds the camera to be still and 2 seconds in motion. So I compose, then I press the shutter and wait 2 seconds. I press the shutter now, click 1000, 2000, and then I move the camera. Let's see. Oh yes, that's cool. Another, take a few shots. So I have 4 seconds and 2 of them are in fixed position on the tripod, and the last 2 seconds I move the camera. Okay, let's do it again. Press the shutter, 1000, 2000, move. Let's see. Take another, and I'm going 4 seconds, 2 in fixed position and 2 seconds in motion. So go 1000, 2000, move up and down. One more. Let's do it again. 1000, 2000, move. I move a little bit down, a little bit up. But you can choose another motion if you like. It's up to the scene and what you want. Yes, we have some interesting things here. We'll see when we come in on the computer in Adobe Lightroom. Perfect. Here I am in a spruce forest. Now we're going to show you another technique. And here I'm going to use my 24 to 70mm zoom lens. I work in manual mode. I set my exposure time to 1 second. I have ISO 50, and in this light I use around aperture f13 to get the correct exposure. And in this case I'm going to move my camera during the exposure, and I handheld it from downwards and up over 1 second. So it goes 1000. Gonna move like this. I'm gonna work with these tree trunks here, and let's see what happens. Now I'm going to move my camera over 1 second. I start them at the bottom, and then I move. I start my motion before I press the shutter and go like this. 1000. Let's see here. Oh yes, look here, very nice. One more. Start the motion, 1000. We get very blurry trees and more like arty ghost trees dancing here. So we move the camera, 1000. One important thing is that you need to have some space between the tree trunks, so you have a better graphics here. So do one more, 1000. Got it. I think we are done here. Very good. Here I'm going to show you another technique. This is the bark of a spruce tree. I'm going to work with my camera alongside the tree trunk here, and I'm going to twist the camera this way and move my camera in short movements up and down. So the lines in the frame will be diagonal, and diagonals are better in the compositions. So I handheld my camera and I find I have some greenery here, I have some grey and some dark. So I find a good place. I start the movement before I press the shutter. I'm working at 1 second exposure, ISO 50 and aperture f11, and I'm in manual light metering mode and also manual focus. My 24 to 70mm lens is at 70mm and I'm ready to go. So I start the movements, short movements up and down, and then press the shutter. Again, move, press. It's almost like painting. Nice, a little bit more diagonal, twist it, move, another. See, yes, we have it. Nice. Let's see what we can do in Adobe Lightroom. Hi everyone, I'm back from the forest and in front of my computer, and we're gonna do some development here on these images from this video. And we are here in the develop module in Adobe Lightroom, and let's go to work. First thing I want to do is to lift the exposure a little bit up, not so much. Go up to 0.5, a little bit lighter. And I also want to add some contrast, and I can do that by using the blacks. So I want to drag the blacks down here, -33. And I also want to increase the overall contrast, and I drag the slider up here. Not too much, but around, yeah, 19 I think can be good. And we can soften the image a little bit. This image don't need sharpening, so I want to soften the medium tones by dragging this clarity slider down to minus, and we're gonna go down to -21. You see here's the original around here, and go down to -21. A little bit softer appearance in the image, and we want to increase the vibrance up to around 45 I think, and a little bit on saturation because we have some colors here, so we want to increase a little bit. And now I want to fine-tune some things. I want to do the tint here. We can keep that where it is. Let's see. Can drag it a little bit like this. You see here to the left it's green, to the right is more purple, but we need to balance it. So I think we can basically end up here, I think. Not too red, not too green, but somewhere balanced in between here. And I want to fine-tune the color temperature a little bit. Here is to the left side is very cold, very blue, and here the other way very warm. But I want to keep it somewhere here down at 4000 something. I think around here 4140 can be good. And I go down here to the bottom under effects, and I want to put a vignette, a little bit dark at the edges. You see here, not that dark, but I drag the slider a little bit to the left, and just to keep the edges of the frame a little bit darker. I think there -7 is fine. Now I go up here to the HSL section, and I want to increase the saturation on orange, yellow and green. We have those colors here, so I drag the orange a little bit up, the yellow a little bit up, and the green. And this picture does need no sharpening, so we can just leave the sharpening as it is here with no adjustments here. So I think we are done with this image. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's see it in full frame. I press the F button on the keyboard, and we are in full frame. Very abstracted, this cubic parable. Press the F button one more time. Let's jump to the next image. And here is the sequence with the green moss and the rock. And let's go to work. Let's start on the top. I think this needs a little bit warmer color temperature, so I have dragged the slider a little bit to the right, around 4500 something, around here. And also we need to adjust the tint here. You see it's a little bit red tones, so I want to cool them down a little bit around here. Now see we have a little bit more green, and the exposure is a little bit under exposure. Drag it up to plus 0.20. That's fine. I want to increase the contrast in this image. Drag it up to around 19, can be good. And I want a little bit more blacks. Drag that down to not too much like this, not too little like this, but to find some balance here. I think not too much here. 5 can be good. And I also want to soften the medium tones here. I don't want a crisp image like this. I want to soften it, so I drag the clarity a little bit down to -13. That's fine. And we want the vibrance up to boost the colors, and a little bit up on the saturation. And here we have some orange and green and red colors, so I want to just add the saturation under the HSL saturation tool here. I start with the red color here. I drag it a little bit up, not too much, not like this, but you see a little bit here. And also a little bit on the orange, maybe. Let's see. See, here's the orange. There's no orange and full orange, but a little bit more tint of orange here. So we have taken the red, and we have taken the orange, and now we take the green. So see, the green is moving when I drag the slider up and down. So a little bit more green, +8. And also here I want no sharpening, and I want a little bit of vignette, so drag to darken the edges, not too much like this, but -7 can be good. Let's take a look at the overall image. Looks good so far. Yes. And let's go to work. Here we are in the snowy picture. We have some green moss and some snow, and the same technique here. Let's go to work. I think I can keep the color temperature here, but I want to drag the tint a little bit to the right, not too much, and exposure needs a little bit lighter, 0.25 here, and maybe a little bit more. We can drag it up to 35. So we go to the blacks, and here we can lighten up the blacks, lift it up to +10, and the clarity can soften the medium tones here, so I drag it to the left. You see here it's very soft, here's very crispy, but I drag the slider just a little bit to the left, and then we soften the image a little bit up. And then we go to the vibrance, because we have some colors here. Drag it up there. I can leave the saturation as it is here in this image. And I want some vignetting here down under effects, under post-crop vignetting, and then drag it a little bit to the left here. I think we are done with this, so let's jump to the next one. Here we are in the forest again, and this is the picture where I kept the camera still for 2 seconds and moved the camera over the next 2 seconds. So it was a 4 seconds exposure. The camera was still in 2 seconds and in motion in 2 seconds. That creates this abstract image with both motion blur, and with fixed elements in the frame. So let's do this. And first of all, we can take a look at the color temperature. I want a little bit up on the warm tones here in the color temperature. I think there is fine, not much. And here we'll leave the tint as it is, but we need more contrast. So we go a little bit up here. Yes, already now we have a better image, but I want to soften the clarity, a little bit down to -10, and let's go for the vibrance. Push it up to the colors up to 45. Look now, the forest is very much alive, very vivid. I like that. So this image has some elements of motion blur and some elements of sharpness. So I want to sharpen the image a little bit. Drag this up to not too much, maybe around 50 there. And I do the masking tool, and the areas where that is dark will not receive any sharpening. So I drag it up to 40, around there. Yes, much better. We have a nice fairy tale forest here, and I want to add some vignette here too, to darken the edges of the frame a little bit. See, this is too much. I want just a little bit darker at the edges. Then I keep the viewer inside the frame. So I think we are done with this, and we're going to jump to the next one. And here's the picture where I moved the camera over 1 second exposure. I moved the camera from downwards and up over 1 second. one important thing when you take these kind of pictures is that you need to keep some distance, space between the tree trunks, like here, to get a better graphic, so the image will be more graphical. So I think this is a good image in that sense. And let's go to work. Here we can, I think we can fine-tune the tint here a little bit more to the left. So you see, a little bit more green. Here was a little bit too red. Go down here to around 19, I think 18, 19. Now the red tint is gone and we have more green. That's good. I think we can also increase the contrast a little bit here. Go up to 23, and we can take the blacks a little bit down. Maybe too much here, or too little here. We want to end up around here, I think. -10. And drag the vibrance up to around 45. I'll leave the saturation. I think the vibrance did the job here. Don't want to overdo the saturation. So I go down to here, the sharpening section. We don't need any sharpening in this image, so we keep it as it is because it's a blurry image. And I go down to the effects and the post-crop vignetting, and I want to darken the edges a little bit. There we go. So I'm done with this. You can see it here in full frame. Good. And let's go to the next and the last. Oh yes, here it's a little bit underexposure, so we need to push it up a little bit. 1.10, I think. And I want to, you see here is a tint of red, so I want to green it up a little bit. Drag the slider here and the tint down to 23, I think is fine. And I want to warm up the tones a little bit here with the color temperature, so I drag the slider a little bit to the right. Maybe too much here, a little bit back. Yeah, I think there. Next thing, we can take down the blacks to -12, 13, around here. Let's see, 13 is fine. Then we get better contrast because the black tones are coming in, so you get better graphics here. And I compose this image as a diagonal. I turn the camera so the bark of the tree, the lines there, became diagonal in the frame. Diagonal in the frame. So let's continue. We go to the vibrance. 44. Here's no saturation. Here's full. It's up to you what you choose, but I keep it a little bit lower, maybe around here. And we also see we have some green here, so we can go to the edge result section here and have the green color here. So drag the slider a little bit up on the saturation here on the green color. And no sharpening here because this image is blurry and it doesn't need sharpening. And I want to darken the edges of the frame, so I go down to the post-crop vignetting and drag the amount a little bit to the left, so I darken the edges of the frame a little bit down. So I think we are done with this. Let's double check everything here. I think maybe we can do something with the clarity too. So we can soften or make it more crisp. If I want to soften it, I drag the clarity slider to the left. If I want it more crispy, more to the right. So it's up to you what you decide, but here I think I can make it a little bit more crispy. Maybe there. So let's see it in full frame. Yes, I like it. A very arty photo. So now we are at the end of this session, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video.